I was briefly married, literally a year and some change, in my late 20s, amicable divorce. Nothing to see here, ladies. We'll move on. Wish that man well. And then decided I really, I was a pretty bad wife in the sense that, nothing salacious, I just was so focused on my dreams, my ambitions, my aspirations, and frankly, kind of my agenda, you know, and I was immature enough and inexperienced enough to believe that loving me and being even, I guess, married to me even meant going along with that agenda. It meant if you love me enough, you're gonna kind of go my way, or more or less here is the highway. And I say that in retrospect, having grown and learned so much about how horribly erroneous that method is and was. So when I came out of that divorce, I had a real clear intention, and this is what I always say to young ladies or people period that are kind of, you know, is married to me. I say, I want you to think about if you were to go start a business tomorrow. Would you want to pursue your business in a joint venture format, right? Where you willingly and enthusiastically invite collaboration? Yes. Where from the logo to the tagline to the cadence of, you know, when you distribute and how you distribute your product, and we're doing this together, and I like yellow and you like red, and what do we think? If you like that functioning, I think you could be maybe a good candidate for marriage. Sure. I'm dead serious. What you just left me? I'm dead serious.
That's real.
And
that's real.
Or there's something called solo proprietorship.
Right.
Where the buck stops with you, but also the responsibility stops with you. Yes. The surplus, the debts, the liabilities, and the assets.
That's all on you.
It's all on you.
Right.
And it was so clear to me, especially coming out of my divorce, that I am a sole proprietor for life.
You said,
did we talk about this?
You said this to me. You were like, I don't like group projects.
I don't like group projects. I don't like business partners. I don't. It's not for my functioning. So my preferred way to navigate the world is in a solo capacity.
I am the man that I've been waiting for. I am the man that I have been waiting for, says Eboni K. Williams in her latest interview about motherhood, how things are going for her now, that she's a mom, a single mom by choice. And in this video, I want to offer some critiques about this interview. So many of you know Eboni K. Williams had a baby about a year ago. Her daughter, Liberty, is now about a year. And she, I guess, is back from maternity leave. She's been interviewed by Carlos King and some other folks. And she was on this podcast, and I found it to be very interesting. And it reminded me of something that I don't talk about a lot, which is Black excellence. And for my day ones, you know that one of my first videos on this channel had to do with Black excellence and how I don't like this. I do not like Black excellence. And if you want to know the details of that, you can go back to the video I made a few years ago. But when I'm done talking, you will probably understand why I say I don't really like it. And real quick, we are normalizing real faces. Okay, that's what we're doing over here on my channel. We are normalizing real faces. And you guys already know I'm not going to give you my no makeup disclaimer. But one of the things that I don't like about Black excellence is that it sometimes can cause educated, accomplished people to have a false sense of accomplishment. And what I mean is that you can excel academically, career-wise, even maybe financially. And that's great, but that doesn't always translate over to how you excel emotionally, how you excel in relationships, how you excel with the opposite sex, right? How you excel with dating. And my critique and criticism about this interview that Eboni K. Williams did is that she very much is still on the same, promoting kind of like the same argument that she promoted before, when we were all talking about her not wanting to date a bus driver. And I personally don't care whether she dates a bus driver or not, but this idea that certain people are mediocre and she only surrounds herself with people who are not mediocre, people who are not average, because she is high achieving. She, believe has a law degree and was a judge, and is an author, and whatever she's doing that's along the lines of Black excellence. My criticism is that although those things are true, she also is a statistic. And I was a statistic. I also was, for 10 years, a single mom.
Right. Part of my challenge was, and I'm so unapologetic about it, and remain so, is I am somebody who is not a fan of mediocrity in any capacity of my life.
I know that's right. Same.
Yeah, I'm just not. And you're not gonna make me feel a way about it.
That's right.
Bloop. You're just not. Because excellence and operating at a constantly living in my ambition.
Yes.
Has served me
right
quite well.
Right. Amen.
Okay, so and that's how I hold myself to a standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I am only going to look for any, and this is, I don't have no mediocre ass friends.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
So this,
Same,
because I really just believe in the power of proximity.
Absolutely.
And
there's
really
no space
do.
for it. There's no space for it in my life.
Yeah. Does not compute.
Yep.
So if that's the deal for my platonic relationships, it's absolutely going to be the requirement, the standard, right, whatever, for my romantic relationships.
Correct.
And then, to your point, Danielle, adding the fatherhood piece, right? So this must now also be a man who I feel likely to be so aligned around the following: academic pursuits, right, healthcare and medical,
yes,
emotional.
And so no matter what accolades I have, or whatever accomplishments are under my belt, I still, for the census purposes or whatever research purposes, when you look at it on paper, was an unmarried mother, a Black woman who had a baby, who had a child, and was not married. So this idea of, again, mediocrity, I just want to unpack it a little bit, because her saying that she's not mediocre, it sounds as though she has little tolerance for people who are average and mediocre. And it's like, ma'am, you are a single mom, but not only are you a single mom, but you're a single mom by choice. Now, you might think I'm being mean. You might say, Naka, leave Eboni K. Williams alone. She didn't do anything to you. And all that is true. I'm saying that there are people who would argue that she is actually mediocre because she was the one who was not able to develop a relationship to the point of getting engaged, getting married, and having a child. She was married before, but some people would call that mediocre and average and below average, because some people would say it's not rocket science. But she has a dating coach. When her daughter turned 6 months, she said she started dating. So not only does that prove that she definitely wants to be in a relationship, but also this whole notion that, she's the man she's been waiting for. I don't know if I buy that, because as soon as your daughter turns 6 months, you were in that dating pool. So there is a need, there is a desire for the opposite sex, for a man in this case, to come into her life, to enrich her life. And she talks very openly, really, in this interview about her dating journey being a lot more relaxed now that she's a mom, because that's something she's kind of checked off her list. She doesn't have to look for a, I guess, father in that sense. When she's dating, she can date with a different purpose. But again, going back to this idea of certain people, the bus drivers, being mediocre because they don't want to own the company and they, are not excelling and pushing themselves to the limit. That idea gets debunked when she talks about sitting in the doctor's office as a pregnant Black mother and not having anybody there with her in terms of a partner, in terms of a husband. Okay, not even a boyfriend. So again, the delusion of Black excellence is not, that almost fixates solely on career and accomplishments and academics. Does it apply to our personal lives? If we are applying Black excellence to our personal lives, then by definition, she would definitely fall in the mediocre category because, and you guys know I'm trying to be a little bit more diplomatic, because I'm not going to say she failed in the relationship department, but she definitely was not successful. She admits to being a bad wife when she was married. She clearly in this interview identified that she was not a good wife. She was selfish. She was focused on her goals, her own ambitions, and expected the husband she was married to get on her level. She admits this. That, to me, is mediocre. That, to me, is below average. But what Black excellence will do is it gives certain people a delusion of grandeur so that they think that, oh, well, because I have these degrees and I have this job and I'm making this money, that I'm above so many other people, when whole time there's people having whole families out here who don't need a dating coach, who don't identify as a bad wife or a bad husband, who, have been married since they were like in their 20s and they, maybe married 20, 30 years. They have grandkids. And you're saying that folks in the Black community are mediocre based off of their career or their job, but you're not looking at the other aspects of their life. And the question is, are you looking at the other aspects of their life? Are you looking at, again, how they are emotionally, how they are, in so many other intrinsic ways outside of just climbing somebody's ladder, somebody's corporate ladder? And so again, I know I don't talk about Black excellence a lot, and this topic is something I have moved away from on this channel. And I definitely want to insert more of this type of commentary, because I think when we hear these types of things, it's important to unpack it. It's important to break it down, because it exposes the hypocrisy that a lot of educated Black women and some men have. Black excellence can sometimes be a mask. This is my opinion. It can sometimes be a mask to hide from the things that you really should know how to accomplish, or the things that are also important that you've neglected. Again, Black excellence can sometimes be a mask to hide from some of the other things that you have neglected to develop. So you hide yourself. Eboni K. Williams hides herself inside of, inside of the mask of Black excellence, because again, she is highly accomplished woman, a highly accomplished woman. And what it does, what she thinks it does, is that it absolves her from the scrutiny of her private life, of her personal life. And yes, you can say, well, that's her personal life. But again, when you're going around, Eboni K. Williams, when you're going around calling people mediocre and saying that you have no tolerance for folks who are mediocre, who are we talking about? Are we talking about the fact that you were not able to develop a relationship to the point where you could have a baby in the context of a relationship and or marriage? Why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we examining that? Why isn't that mediocre or less than that? And this is not to come down on single moms by choice. Again, I was a single mom for 10 years. But I think that's why I paid so close attention to her commentary. Being a single mom for 10 years myself, I'm listening in a way that I'm like, this is interesting. That somehow she seems to think that because she has money and because she's accomplished and she has these degrees and all these connections, that solidifies her as being part of Black excellence in a way that, I mean, what about the amazing wife, the amazing father? Maybe he or she doesn't have all those degrees and make all that money and all those accomplishments, but is that person not an accomplished person? And so we have to be careful. I think personally, Black excellence can be dangerous with the way we talk about it and how we uphold. There's a lot of people who make money and they have the connections, but they're not good people. Or they have the connections, they have the degrees and the accolades, but they're actually broke. They actually have no money in their bank account. They just are, pretending. So, yeah.
And then I started to really feel like I'm the man that I've been trying to wait to save me. It really was that for me. And that did so much for me, Danielle. It did so much for liberating me, but it also gave me a new way to pursue love, which I know we'll also get into in
I want us to embrace the different intersecting identities that we have. And in Eboni K. Williams' case, her identities, it's interesting. It's, on the one hand, this accomplished, successful, educated woman, and all that's true. And the intersection is, you're a statistic. You are part of the group of Black women who are not married. You are a single mom. And again, I don't say this with any disrespect. I say this because sometimes we need to kind of get in a more humble mindset. Let's humble ourselves a little bit here, Eboni K. Williams, because, you might want to consider that bus driver that you think that you're too better than because he's mediocre and he's not excelling. He doesn't want to own the company. Now that you're a mom and a single mom, how will that humble you? Will it humble you? It should. Because again, you're part of now a group of women who, and she talks about how, people always associate being a single mom with struggling and I would say that although she may not be financially struggling, perhaps there is an emotional struggle, because again, when her daughter turned 6 months, she was in a dating pool, right? So this whole notion of like, I'm the man that I've been waiting for. Are you? Because 6 months is kind of early. I mean, she could have waited till her daughter was 2 or 3 or whatever. And again, this is not to police her dating life. This is to say there are a lot of contradictions in her story. A lot of contradictions. And the fact that she's working with a dating coach and, you know, all that goes to show that she wants to get it right. You know, and that's a good thing. But it's important to remember that this whole idea of being mediocre applies to the educated, accomplished Black women just as much as it does the bus driver. So like, share, and subscribe. I am your host, Neka, and I am here to make the invisible visible about Black women. I highlight the things that Black women wouldn't tell you. Become a channel member. You can click the join button at the top of your screen, or you can click the links in the description box to check out the perks and the benefits that you can get from being a channel member. I have a book about being an invisible Black woman on Amazon. I also have a Black-owned store on Amazon, and you can also click those links in the description box. I am on Instagram if you want to give me a follow. I am also a YouTube coach. So if you want to get coaching and consulting to help you start and grow your own YouTube channel, you can also click yet another link in the description box. If you feel compelled, you're welcome to donate to my Cash App, and the link for that is in the description box as well. And as always, stay tuned for more videos.